Hello, and welcome to the Love Your Work Life podcast. I'm your host, Elissa Shuck. Whether you're going for that next promotion, looking for a job, or making a career pivot, I'll teach you how to navigate it all so you can have the career you want. This is Love Your Work Life, episode 108, and part 2 of how to make decisions. So let's do just a little recap of last week. One of the things I talked about was that our inability or our aversion to making decisions a lot of times has to do with the story that we're telling ourselves about that decision, about what will happen after that decision. Like, I'm just going to get rejected anyway, so why should I apply for the job? So we never actually decide to leave a toxic workplace because the thought about applying for a job makes us think about rejection, and therefore our brains are protecting us from that bad feeling of rejection, and we never actually make the decision in the first place. It's about the what ifs. If you are constantly listening to the negative self-talk, I heard someone call it the little gremlins running around in your brain that are having you focus on the negative. And it's about giving equal airtime to positive what ifs, because this is the deal. Neither story is true. You are making it up. You have no idea if you're going to get rejected. So if you are going to make up stories in your mind, make up stories that help you make good decisions instead of getting stuck in indecision, which ultimately is still a decision. It's just the decision to stay where you are, to keep making that same choice, to stay in the toxic workplace or stay in the job that's no longer fulfilling or not get the promotion. By not deciding, you're still choosing. You're just choosing what you have over and over again. And that leads me to today's topic, the continuation of how to make decisions with some ideas that will help us reframe decisions, to think about them more strategically, to think about them more intentionally, because decisions are the ultimate power that we have in our lives. We get to choose what we think about. We get to choose the actions that we want to take. We get to decide over and over and over again. And I don't want you deciding unconsciously because of all the need to, should, and other conditioning that's been going on in your life from probably a young age until now. Because yes, we have stories that our parents tell us, our teachers tell us, people who influence us when we're young, but later in life, we have other voices, friends, colleagues, and the worst is our own voice who's constantly talking us out of the things that we really want. So let's talk about this power we have in our decision making. You get to decide how you're going to leverage that power. And I want to present to you the idea that you can actually start questioning why you're making the decisions that you're making. This is that consciousness that I want you to pay attention to. We can define a decision as a committed action driven by a committed thought. And that's why it's so powerful, because we have control over our thoughts. It may not feel like it because we all have these well-worn neurological pathways that get triggered and boom, we're down this path thinking something that is just on autopilot. So that's why I want you to slow it down and start to consider new ways of thinking about decisions and really questioning why you're making the decisions you are, not giving up your power of decision making to conditioning of the past. So the first idea I have for you is everything is optional. I know it doesn't seem like that, because when you feel stuck, when you feel as if you have to live out the poor decisions, the so-called negative decisions of your past, and your whole life is this list of everything you have to do, and that you don't have choices, you are wrong. You can give yourself permission to change anything you want. And if you're listening to this, then I'm guessing there's something about your career, there's something about your work life that you want to change. And I'm here to tell you, through the power of decisions, you can make any change you want. When you start asking yourself questions about your decisions and your past decisions, the power thought, maybe if you want to put it that way, to have is, would I choose this again? Now, wherever you happen to find yourself, if you find yourself in a job you don't like anymore, you may have really liked your reasons for choosing it at the beginning. But when you ask yourself, would I choose this again today? And your answer is no. It helps you disrupt. And then by disrupting that, you can evaluate, yes, I would choose this again. No, I wouldn't choose that again. Answer this for yourself on a piece of paper. Because as I said, if by not making a decision, you're choosing to have what you have over and over again, but you actually wouldn't choose it again, now you can disrupt that behavior pattern. Now you can take more control over the decision-making process to move it from under the surface to conscious, intentional, strategic, this idea of self-awareness. And by being aware, now you can give attention to your process, to the reason that you're making those decisions, to the reason that you are stuck in indecision, which, as I said, is ultimately choosing the same thing over and over again, to being in a place where you can take your power back and make decisions that serve you, that serve the higher purpose that you have in mind for your life and your career. Here's a second thing to think about. There are no right or wrong decisions. The decision itself isn't right or wrong. You decide, we decide what is right or wrong with our thinking. You may believe in certain causes. You may have a certain value system. But the only reason that it's right or wrong is because you have decided it is for you. That's why bringing your decision making, bringing your choices up to a more conscious level is so powerful. A habit of deciding what is right or wrong for you on a continual basis helps you evolve. Let's get real for a second here. Your career and what was right for you 5 or 10 years ago may not still be right. It was right then. It's wrong now. Make sense? It may not feel right anymore because you've evolved, you've grown. You get to change your mind about good and bad and right and wrong intentionally, consciously. You can change your mind about what's right or wrong, good and bad, about the decisions that you made then and about the decisions you're making now. And a good compass is deciding that you can be happy either way. Here's another way to put it. Your happiness isn't based on making a good decision or bad decision. Your happiness is based on what you think about your decision. And you can actually decide that you're going to be happy either way. Healthy detachment. When you become overly emotionally invested in the outcome of a decision, in the outcome of an action, then you are setting yourself up for assigning good and bad to that end result. All right? Does that make sense? Hang in there with me. When you commit to making a decision, I want you to commit to thinking about it in a way that supports the decision and in a way where you have your own back. That means you're thinking about it in a way that is supportive, that's encouraging, that isn't scolding you or judging you for that decision. Give yourself grace. You can choose anything you want with the power of a decision. Just be prepared that if it doesn't happen the way you envision it, if that what if story on the other side isn't what you anticipated, that you're not going to judge it as good or bad. You're going to have your own back. And if you can't be happy about it, my friend, at least be neutral. Neutral is a really powerful place to be. Neutral can be having your own back in a really helpful sort of a way. The next thing I want to offer is that the more decisions you make, the better. This comes back to stopping and slowing down your process, like I talked about it earlier, and really asking yourself, do I like this decision? And here's the deal. When you don't make decisions, eventually you'll find yourself in what's called the miserable maybe. That is not a fun place to be. You will be so much better off deciding yes or no than you will delaying, waiting, thinking about it, analyzing it, and getting yourself stuck in this miserable maybe space of indecision. That's why I want you to keep making decisions, to rise to a level of consciousness. You don't need to go into deep analysis about every single decision, but you can have self-awareness. You can give issues your attention, and you can do a brief analysis, but don't let that be the thing that stops you from deciding. And maybe the answer is not yet. That's okay. Maybe something happened at work. Maybe there was a leadership change and you want to give it some space to say, hey, wait a minute. Maybe the toxicity is going to go away because we have a new leader with a new style. And so your decision to leave turns into a not yet instead of maybe. Such a more empowering place because you're leveraging your power of decision making. And the other thing I want to offer you is do not delay decisions. The more decisions you make, the better you'll get at it, and the better you will be at evaluating things very quickly, as well as giving yourself permission to change your mind along the way. New information, new decision, no judgment. Approach your decision in a way that is empowering, assuring, and with a certain amount of ease and certainty, you can trust yourself. When you start looking at decisions like this, that it is your power play, that you get to be more conscious and question yourself interrupt the automatic decisions that you're making and have your own back, you're going to get better at it. And you're going to take the weight off yourself. And when you take the weight off yourself and you get used to making decisions, then you can make more of them. And the more you make and the more intentional you are, then you can choose the path, the career, the pivot. You can choose that committed action that's driven by a committed thought and create the life, create the career that you envision for yourself. All right, my friend, make some decisions right now. Anything you've been putting off, just make a decision. You will feel so much better. All right, I'll talk to you next time. Here's the thing. You are going to work 90,000 hours in your lifetime. That's 30% of your life. And for some of you, it's probably even more than that. So you might as well take control of it. Learn the skills you need to learn. Get the professional development resources you need to excel and deliver and have impact. That's what my membership, Control Your Career, is all about. Join for $20 a month or $197 a year. If you want VIP treatment, you can get access to that too. The bottom line is I want you to have all the resources you need to create a thriving career anytime you want. And when you hit some blocks, then I'm going to give you some things on how to survive too, week after week, month after month, inside Control Your Career. Go to elissa-shuck-career.com/control-your-career. I will see you there.